We're going to have a couple of other students of Harold make brief tributes. Carlos Moreno from CUNY, also Professor Carlos Moreno, who's also a known number theorist, was a student of Harold's and of late Leon Ehrenpreis, and will say a couple words.
All right. I came to NYU in 1964, and the following year I began taking courses in number theory with Harold. I must have taken most of the courses that he taught. I remember courses on Diophantine approximations, courses on probabilistic number theory, and there were quite a few courses, and I was always very interested in whatever Harold was teaching. And at one time, somewhere in the middle of my stay at NYU from 64 to 71, Harold gave a course on analytic number theory. And this was a course that somehow fascinated me. At the end of the semester, I just felt that I had somehow, after listening to Harold and the well-structured lectures, that I had won the lottery. After that course, I took other courses with Harold, but my mind was all set on analytic number theory and L functions, so I didn't pay attention to whatever he was saying from there on. So for me, that was a tremendous thing. In some sense, I was able to see in Harold that he was passing on a tradition that he had gotten in Princeton from Artin. Artin represented a particular area of analytic number theory that was closest to Landau as opposed to Hecke, and I just felt that the beauty of the subject that had a long tradition and some very well-known number theorists, Harold was in complete control. It was later on that I realized that Harold had actually read Landau's books very carefully. He was very familiar with the details. I still have the lecture notes from that course. I was pleasantly surprised to realize that when the Prince Allen of Landau was reprinted by Chelsea, Harold's name came up because Harold actually was involved in looking at it. As I remember Harold, besides this fascination that he had for analytic number theory and L functions, there were other subjects that were he somehow carried them around constantly. One was certainly Hilbert's 10th problem and its generalizations, and it was pleasant to see that his student Schlappentock carried further these ideas of Hilbert's 10th problem in the case of number fields, abelian number fields. And probabilistic methods were always constant with him. He had a great appreciation for some of the work that Erdős had done, and the work that he had collaborated with Erdős. And I remember one particular seminar that he gave where he said that understanding the average number of divisors of the values of a polynomial was one of the great things that Erdős had done, and he had a knack for what was really important in certain areas of number theory. And at the end, I sort of decided that I would write my thesis with Leon Ehrenpreis, but in one of those occasions that turns out to be very common, I didn't know at the beginning how to get it started, so I went back to Harold, and Harold told me, well, this is what you have to do in this particular case, and sure enough, he was right, and I was able to push in my thesis this result one step further, but it was really Harold that had the tremendous ideas. He was always very generous with his students. There was absolutely no question that he influenced the whole generation of number theory students at NYU, and I think I'm the richer for having had him as a teacher. I always felt privileged to have been his teacher, and had been around also his other students with whom it was a great experience at NYU. So I always keep Harold in deep in my heart.